Wait a minute, the Lord, for we certainly got silent order than all. Did you ever hear feet go deep, sweet feet on piccolo? No? Wait a minute, the 3/4 is melody sweet all the time that couldn't be. Why didn't hit a high note?
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Basics of Magic. Wait, I'm adjusting because I am my own tech crew. Welcome to the show, Basics of Magic. I'm Will Roberts, the honest huckster. I'm still not happy with this shot. I was earlier. There we go. And of course I'm in my beautiful studio, which of course is my bedroom. So if you enjoy the show today, by all means leave the comments in there saying how much you enjoyed it, how much you love it, because then I can tell my wife I perform well in the bedroom. Oh! I'll be here all week trying to feel. Okay, so today we have a really cool show, and I'm very excited. I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, Meadow Perry, who is a wonderful magician and, quote-unquote, a bubble magician. So I brought, she doesn't know she's in the wings, I brought my own bubbles because I spent, 20 years doing every Cinco de Mayo there is. And as a balloon artist, so fastest in the West is a cowboy thing, and really very noisy. Hold on a second. And so we're going to have her on the show, and maybe if we're good, she'll do a bubble or two. Kind of like, I guess, like when a magician goes to a party, they go, hey, do a trick. So I usually roll over and speak. Anyway, I learned that from my wife. So same thing with the bubble magician, I imagine. Hold on. I obviously have not put any powder and talc on these because they're really loud. And usually when I do this and it makes that much noise, my kids, 6 and 10-year-old, go, Dad, you're making balloons? I'm really popular on my block, by the way. There it is, a teddy bear, a little black teddy bear, or a kitty cat, or my favorite, roadkill. Okay, moving on. Anyway, today's show, we're going to have Meadow Perry and have a lot of fun. Remember, Basics of Magic is brought to you by Zucchini's Tricks and Things. Let me get that out again. Zucchini's Tricks and Things on Edgewater Packing Company. Very excited by that, by the way. With my hair like this, I'm going to leave my hat on forever. They're on Cannery Row. It's where I started. Edgewater Packing Company about 40 years ago. Yeah. I never will mention that again because it's like making me feel old, but I don't. I'm not old. I have cards, I have coins, we have balloons, and today we have bubbles. So let your imagination fly. I'm going to take a little bit of a break here because I just got started. And by the way, if you're really enjoying this production and what we're doing, because you see all the fun stuff, Zoomfield Follies is the show that we do, and we have the virtual field trip, all kinds of fun stuff. So hang tight. I'm going to take a small little, teeny little break, and when we come back, I promise we're going to have a lot of fun with Meadow Perry. Hang tight.
sitting right here since 7 o'clock.
Yes, with your back to me. When I invite a woman to dinner, I expect her to look at my face. That's the price she has to pay. You check, sir. $9.40? This is an outrage. If I were you, I wouldn't pay it.
Stewart?
Ah, come right ahead.
Hey,
Stewart.
Marco, the food!
Been waiting all
Food!
afternoon for you,
Comes to the
Stewart.
food. Come on.
You're fired, do you understand? You're fired.
Hey, you big bully, what's the idea of hitting that little bully?
Will you kindly let me handle my own affairs? Get out. Now, what do you got to say to me?
Just this. Can you sleep on your stomach with such big buttons on your pajamas?
Why, you...
Okay, so I got to be honest with you. I just realized I'm over here watching the Marx Brothers, which I love, and all of a sudden I realize I'm looking on the ground, going, "Hey, there's my microphone." So I don't even know if you heard the first part of my act or my show or whatever I call this, but unfortunately I didn't have my mic on. Oh, I got no respect, no respect. Very excited to tell you that the show today again is brought to you by Zucchini Tricks and Things on Edgewater Packing Company. In case you didn't hear it earlier, breath. Anyway, and so now, without further ado, I'm very excited. This young lady I met through, of course, Chris Herron, Faust, and Jonathan Molo, and I'm very excited. And because why I'm really excited is because the last time I had her on the show, it was a mess. It was like we had 2 cups and a string, and it was one of the strings was cut, and it was pretty difficult. But now, without further ado, very excited. Now I want you to watch this because you're going to enjoy this. This is what we call her demo. So hang tight, take a deep breath, get ready for your imagination to explode. And here it goes. Okay, first of all, Meadow, welcome to the show. Very excited. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you're kind of like all of the Disney females in one, but with a lot of skills and a legit job. That's all I'm saying.
That's hilarious that you say that because I used to work as a children's entertainer as a princess.
You know, watching what you do, it never gets boring, but I got to imagine that a lot of people that watch your act, first of all, might have many responses. Like you could see people while you're doing it kind of going, is this like really happening? There's a woman that is blowing up bubbles and this is awesome. I mean, And then the other people who are probably high are like, whoa, dude, this is like awesome beyond belief. I love it. I'm gonna hang out with her all the time. Uh, what kind of responses you get?
They run the gamut. I get a lot of people. They're like, "Whoa, I want to blow bubbles for a living," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's a great job." And you do get some people that are totally like, "Whoa." Uh, those are some of my favorite reactions.
I
Um,
imagine.
and you know, when I make giant bubbles, people are completely, sorry for the pun, but blown away.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I'll be here all week trying the veal. Wow, that's cool. No, I again watching this. The cool thing is then we've talked a little bit about how you started in your background, which we'll do in a second. But it's just one of those things that, like, I imagine you yourself while you're rehearsing and doing things. Like I watched you. I never saw the wall part, and I'm like, damn, she's like the Matrix. That's awesome. Like, yeah. And
It's a
that's
little.
really got to be something. I imagine that when you're doing it, because we, again, in conversations, knowing that you have gone through quite an extensive um, training and meeting lots of people and finding out. Let's just talk about that. This is not something, I mean, you can. It's like magic or balloons or whatever. You can go out and grab a deck of cards and start messing around with things and eventually become proficient. But let's be honest, this is not your dad's bubble machine. And, this is something that you really had an extensive search to do. Tell me about that. Us.
I did, and it started with the giant bubbles, which that's one of those things that anyone can pick up and do.
Yeah.
They sell kits on Amazon. If you really went searching for it, you could find it. But it's about creating a character around it, and then like the deeper, more complicated tricks do take practice. Getting used to manipulating bubbles and understanding. It's sort of akin to fire performers, where they understand fire and how to manipulate it. It's
Yeah.
it's very similar
Yeah.
in that regard. Yeah.
Except for, I'll be honest with you, I did fire roping in Cirque, and uh, if that catches on you, it's a whole lot different than if a balloon breaks on you. I mean, a bubble.
It's
I'm just
true.
saying.
It's true.
Stop, drop. I used to call my act when I was doing it in Cirque du Soleil if something went wrong. Which, by the way, out of 1,300 performances, maybe twice I had an incident. But that is when we called the act stop, drop, and roll. Yeah. Anyway.
I like it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you talked about, and off the air, we in the last interview we talked about the fact that you internationally have met people, trained with people who have either been your mentor or people that you've admired. Tell us a little bit about that part about the what it takes to actually and find these people. I mean, like I said, you didn't bump into a phone book and went, oh, look, there's 25 pages of balloon or a bubble artist. How did you do it?
So I did a lot of research, lots of research, and I found that there are a lot of really skilled bubble artists in Russia. So I've connected. There's a little bit of a language barrier, but I've connected with a couple people.
Vodka.
We use Google Translate for everything, and I've learned things through that way. And graciously, we've swapped secrets, and it's been a lot about like, hey, I'm going to give you kind of the tools, and you have to figure it out on your own,
Sure.
because everybody's hands are. It's kind of like cardistry, where you kind of have a main idea of it, but everybody's hands are different. You might be left-handed, you might be
Sure.
right-handed. So it really is about you just really getting your hands in there and trying it out and seeing what works and what doesn't. But
Right.
I became a part of the Association of International Bubble Artists,
Never knew that
which
existed.
which is kind of like a magic community. And the president is Tom Noddy, who's kind of the godfather of bubble artists. And it's been really great to connect with people who've been in it for 20, 30, 40 years. And it's a lot of fun. And there is a whole community of bubble artists out there.
You know, again, that's one of those things that's really bizarre. That someday you may be at a really, really large magazine store and then go, "Wow, look, there's a magazine about people who are bubble artists." I mean, it's just one of those things that I don't think people realize. Or, to be quite honest with you, I bet they don't realize how much discipline and how much work goes into it. I got to imagine that, you know, you have two kids, and when they were little infants and they were doing little bubbles, you're like, oh, how'd you do that? You must look at a lot of people and go, when you're watching this, do you actually look at videos of other people and go, wait a second, that's an interesting technique? Do you do that?
I've definitely done that in the past. And I've gone, hold on a second. I do a similar thing, but I never thought of it
Yeah.
like to do it upside down or
Right.
to add in this other element, different presentations and things. And it makes you have like a thought provoking thing, and then you take it in another direction and you make your own version. It's just like any type of magic where you can see a thing and you make it your own, and it can spurn ideas and you go with it.
Yeah. I
So, yeah.
imagine that because I know that you have a pretty extensive background in musical theater. I imagine that your bubble work, you probably spend a lot of time with backstories and, you know, and does, I guess the question is, does the bubble mistress, Meadow, does she have a character that you follow through, but yet you go and do different things? Like, I'm obviously the honest huckster. So, do you have a character like that you developed?
I do. I have sort of this persona of a little bit girl next door, and I have this wonder, and I want to share it with you. But I've tried really hard to stay away from the sexy burlesque girl, and also staying away from the I'm going to be a scientist
Oh, that's funny.
trope.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of bubble shows are
Yeah.
either
Yeah.
that very pretty
Yeah.
burlesque type thing, or they're a science show. And I wanted to stay away from both of those and share stories and really show why I love bubbles and share the beauty of them. And in my show, I go into some of that, and I go into the history of the
Wow.
people behind it. And it's a lot of fun. There's some great themes in the show, like feminism.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I go into that without it being too sciencey.
Good.
I talk about Agnes Pockels, who was a woman pioneer in science.
Right.
And that's a nice like feminist
Sure.
message without being too
No,
hit you in the
too,
head.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
without being too Bay Area. Um,
yeah.
but you know, but I can tell you right now, Disney called you up and said we have a series, and there's a woman. She's a scientist, but she does bubbles. I bet that job would be taken if it were
Oh,
given.
yes.
Yeah, yeah,
I would
absolutely.
totally do
Um, I guess one little off the subject I want to ask you is that of the musical theater you've done, what's your favorite show?
Oh my gosh. Um, I would have to say Titanic,
Oh,
the musical. I know a lot of people are like, "What? Leonardo
what?
DiCaprio?" No, it's a
What?
totally different story. It I I love the history of people, and it really goes into the history of some of the people that were on the Titanic,
Wow,
and
I didn't know that.
especially living in the Philadelphia area. We have Widener College and Widener
Yeah,
University, and they were on the Titanic. So getting to know and do like character studies, I find it fascinating
sure.
to know these real people's lives, and then you get to portray them on stage. And when you connect that it was a real person, it becomes much more emotional, and that show is gut wrenching.
Is it? Is it? It
Yeah,
sounds like it would be an Andrew Lloyd Webber show. What? Who wrote it? Do you know?
it's
Music.
I can't think of who wrote it right now
Uh-oh.
at this. Yeah, why can't I think of it? I don't remember the top who wrote it, but I am also a very big Andrew Lloyd Webber fan.
Are
So
you?
it's kind of a toss up between Phantom and
Oh,
Titanic,
okay.
because Phantom was my first love
Yeah.
in musical theater. So
When I lived in the Bay Area, San Francisco, back way longer than I will say. I did a show called Beyond Therapy, Christopher Durang, for about 2 years, right across the street from the Kern in another theater that actually was a rehearsal space for Liza Minnelli. And
Oh,
but I was across the street from Phantom, so it was kind of fun. I mean, I'm sorry, it was Phantom of the Opera, but it was the Kern Theater, so it was kind of awesome. But in any case, I'm more of a traditional, like, well, I would say obviously my favorite show, it was West Side Story, which is funny. My family just said that they watched it yesterday because they're doing a new version, and I've done Baby John and Riff in that show. And but then as a little bit later on, my favorite show became Will Rogers Follies. Because I played Will, and I've done it a couple times, and then I travel around the world doing my Will Rogers show. But that same thing. Same thing is that I got so into the Will Rogers thing. I'm getting tingles. That I wound up having a syndicated humor column for about 18 years because I was so into the philosophy of same thing you're saying is that when you do theater, the one thing that people don't quite get, and I'll say this based upon the fact that your act and what you do is not just someone going, you've got depth behind it, and that, in my opinion, really helps make a performer something that you really want to see their act because they're not just going, all right, so you want a dog, right? Cool, awesome. You've got something behind it, which is incredible, and that is based upon the fact that you are musical theater and you're an actor, singer, dancer. That's what we do. So that's pretty awesome. What is the first bubble trick you learned?
oh gosh.
Yep.
Well, beyond doing like big giant bubbles, um, it was actually my first magic trick as well. I took tiny little bubbles and
Uh-huh.
I made them solid into little marbles.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
So
and
that's kind of
that would
cool.
always be I would be dressed as a fairy, and I would invite children to come, and we would catch the bubbles, and then they would help me with a magic word, and we would turn them solid, and they would get to keep it. And
Wow.
I still have kids from years ago saying, "Meadow, Meadow, I still have your solid bubble. It still hasn't popped." And
And I
like
haven't
that's a great.
swallowed
I
it.
love
And I
it.
haven't
I haven't
swallowed
swallowed it.
because I'm like immediately when you said that because people are always like when I do balloons I used to do like 1,000 a weekend and I'd blow them and I never
Yeah,
use a pump but I do them and then they break and of course the infant his brother would go oh I'm like no don't put that in your mouth okay
yeah,
darn
yeah.
it
I
anyway
definitely have had times where I go, "I'm gonna give this to mom."
this is a souvenir from the show for mom to take um,
Yeah.
so really quickly I want to kind of go off the subject a little bit you have a show coming up.
I do. I have a show coming up on Friday, the 4th, December 4th. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Um, and you can get tickets at meadowperry.com/events.
Okay.
And tickets are only $10. This is the inaugural show, as it were. So they're only $10 for December. And I will be announcing January's show dates soon.
Oh,
Um, and yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's going
yeah,
to be a great show.
that's very cool.
I've curated a show and I've added magic. So it's a little more than just bubbles, and
How
I'm
how
super
long is
excited
it?
for
How long?
it. It's about an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long
Yeah.
time. Wow. That's no, I mean that's good, but you're crazy. That's awesome. Uh
Thank you.
yeah, right, so thanks a lot, buddy. If you look on the bottom of the screen, you can see, of course, Meadow Perry's information. You can go to meadowperry.com and, of course, /events. But just go there and you'll check it out, and it's a really awesome site. And so, with that being said, last thing I'll ask you is that if someone wanted to get started in the world of bubbles, what would they do? How would they do it? Any words of advice? As I say, the best four-letter word in the English language. Any free advice?
Um, I would say just do some research. Number one, like that's first, and then find a mentor. I'm happy to mentor people. Reach out to me, let me know,
Love it.
and that's the best place to start.
That's good.
Is look for a mentor.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's go to your social media, and can you tell us, by the way, just who you are, where you are, and where they can
Yep.
find you?
I'm on Instagram, Meadow Perry, all one word. I'm also on YouTube. You can just search for me on there and you'll find me. And of course, I'm on Facebook. And my website is meadowperry.com.
Awesome. So that's great. And let me bring you back over here with you and me. And thanks a lot for coming on the show. That was awesome. And I wish you luck on your December 4th show. In the information, folks, you will find, once I post this, we're going to put the link so you can go there and buy it. Plus, I'll put a story out. Buy a ticket, $10, and to see all this wonderful talent that this young lady brings to the what do you call it, virtual stage. So that's exciting. Any last minute thing you want to say? Like,
Um, no, just
no?
happy holidays and
Yes.
have a great December. And thank you so much for having me on.
Not a problem. Hey, we've got Rusty on here who said that he's never heard of it, and this was very impressive. And he said, "Thank you for being on the show today." And I don't know what that last word is. Kalgan? Maybe he's telling someone something. It's a code. Probably people from Russia. Anyway, they're watching. Meadow Perry, thanks for coming on the show. Of course, meadowperry.com. Check it out, and we will see you next time. Be safe, be well, and wear a mask.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Hey, glad you enjoyed the show today and having a great time. So basically, that is the basics of magic, and I just like to have people on and talk to folks about the different things, the magic, the balloons, the whips, the ropes, the knives, the whatever else I do. I just decided to do this because you know what? Everybody I know says, "Hey, I would like to, just Will. He talks a lot." So instead of me just talking a lot, I thought I'd put something behind it. So I hope you enjoyed the show. I will see you again down the road. Let me make sure. I really gotta get myself big icons here. But I am Will Roberts, the Honest Huckster. If you're interested in me doing a virtual show, all you need to do is get a hold of me. Of course, on my website, which is actorwillroberts.com or zoomfieldfollies.com. Again, thanking my good friend Brian over at Zucchini's Tricks and Things on the infamous Cannery Row for being Zucchini's Tricks and Things behind this all. I started this because during COVID starting, I realized that he, as a brick and mortar place, needed to find some way of being able to get out there because no one was coming in there. So there it is. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you. Thank you, Rusty. Always a very avid watcher, listener. And he's crazy. He just loves to be involved in my shows, and I love it. He's kind of like my ongoing peanut gallery, but a lot better than just peanuts. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.